Brady. Oh, guys! It's happening!
And here comes Big E! Mr. Money in the Bank is cashing it in right now!
Big E promised us all night long he would cash in his Money in the Bank contract!
The time is now!
And it is official!
Here we go!
Here is your winner, and the new WWE Champion, Big E!
Can you believe it?
The New Day can believe it!
Right here in Boston, Massachusetts, we have a new WWE Champion, and his name is Big E!
Top of Wrestling with your hosts, O.D.M. and the Professor.
Good shit. Late to every episode. Late so much, I'm going to have to buy you a pregnancy test.
Bob Rude!
I want to be a podcaster. Yay!
His mama named Kenta. I'm going to call him Kenta.
Dynamite drop in, Monty. That broadcasting school is really paying off for you.
That's a bold statement, Cotton.
Oh my god, mine just stopped recording. No, we're good. We're still recording.
What a dick.
I'd cease and desist me. I'd cease and desist me hard.
I need a minute to recover off that.
What kind of game is it?
War Games! Let a war game!
You're our impressionist.
Yeah, I know. That's the only thing I've said in the last half hour.
Bark like a dog.
Oh, jinx. Holy shit. How did that actually happen?
Here we go.
You know, my old pappy used to say, he who fights can run away to run away another day. And run off to Wednesdays because it's Wednesday. You know what that means. The Top of Wrestling podcast is here and ready to go. Today is a full show. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We have this week's top topic, which we're going to be talking the best of titles, straps, and belts. Which I think is a great name for the topic because it's all the no-no words in the WWE, so it's kind of funny. But, of course, we will also have some news for you. We have this week's Bring It to the Table. We take a trip back into 1996 because 25 years ago was In Your House Mind Games, plus the Fallout on Raw, and WCW Nitro. Before we make our way there, of course, I want to thank everybody for listening to us. I am the Professor, Mark Fantasia, and I do thank you for listening to us on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, we bring you good wrestling and good flicks. Last week's flick, we did a triple Lindy with Rodney Dangerfield's Back to School. If you know what the triple Lindy is, then you didn't see that movie at all. One of the most it's funniest CGI thing ever of him hitting 3 different diving boards. But anyway, on to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that this show is not a one-man show. As always, I have our co-host, the man who will blow your brains out. He's known as Mr. O.D.M. Joe Rizzo. You probably heard of him. I know what you're thinking. He's old and decrepit, gums his food and his women, but he can still shoot it straight when it comes to wrestling. So without any further ado, O.D.M.
Professor, in lieu of today's movie quote, I would just ask for one thing, and that is,
Hit the fucking music! Woo! The Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now Come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. The Bills make it one.
Go Bills. I gotta be honest, I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, what part of the movie was it this silent where this guy is going to open a beer, be this quiet? I'm like, man, I don't remember this part of the movie. I mean, there's Lightning Jack with what's his name, Paul Hogan and Cuba Gooding Jr., and he was a mute. I thought that's kind of what you were going for, but yeah, never mind. Dude, nice. Good way to start the week, man. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen squishing some fish. It was a good weekend. And, so, some other things happened, of course, over the course of this last week. Of course, every time that we record something, it's the night of that happens. But we actually called it out, I think, in advance on the show.
Sure did.
As you heard at the top of our program, Big E cashes in the Money in the Bank and becomes the WWE champion. Called it out, told everybody, here's what I'm doing on Twitter, and does. They even had a segment about it in the beginning of the show. Why did they do this? Well, you're trying to rival Monday Night Football, and you're also trying to rival now AEW, because as we are seeing, AEW is having better ratings than any Monday Night Raw as of recent. Can't say that they are not a threat. Dude, I'm sorry, I gotta call it out. What the fuck is going on over there, man? I'm watching you stare at your beer like, wow, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Now you have to is there too much yeast in that beer?
No, I mean, I brewed it, so I know how much yeast went in there. Yeah, let's get back to what you were talking about. Listen, I think we all saw the writing on the wall, especially when they split up the New Day. We knew, that coupled with the fact that them calling their shot was their way to contend with Monday Night Football. And honestly, this is why I drafted Big E #1 overall in our wrestling fantasy draft, because I knew this was coming.
I don't even want to talk about the fantasy draft. It is kind of cool because I texted you guys and was like, and you guys are you and Nightwing, and I'm like, they should make the Bloodline versus New Day at Survivor Series, because now the Big E is with the New Day again on Raw, and it's always Raw versus SmackDown. Go that road. And they're doing it tonight on Raw because WWE can't think that far out. They're like, I have an idea. How about we do it right now? I mean, eventually, I think you should probably unify the titles at this point.
They have
You've gotten
to.
rid of so many people, you should eventually unify them. I think it could lead to something cool. I've seen a couple of different scenarios. One actually was just a background picture of WrestleMania, which I'm sure was just a fan-made thing that I saw online. I'm like, but I could be down with it. Is Kofi wins Rumble, but Big E is turned on the New Day, and somehow Xavier's in there, and you get a cool triple threat. I'd be okay with that. The other funny thing that I did see was the race is on between Xavier Woods and Heath Slater, because between 3MB and the New Day, 2/3 of each group now has had the world title. So is it going to be Heath Slater or Xavier Woods to become a world champion?
Yeah,
first?
right.
I think that's hysterical. I just don't care.
Nope.
To be honest with you, I don't care. I'm like, all right, yeah, cool, he won, but I don't care where it goes from here. I just have not given a shit. I'm not being an AEW mark because I could try to like other things. NXT's new pink stuff is weird. I can't deal with that. I mean, yeah, we do have a new champion in Tommaso Ciampa. It's cool to see him back with Goldie again, but at the same point, at what cost? Look what the whole roster looks like. They're doing fucking weddings to close out show. Yeah, anyway.
We'll get there. Yeah, there's a couple things to say about that. One, you're absolutely right with the Big E thing. It's too little too late. Like, you gotta get, Roman Reigns and, even with Brock Lesnar coming back, that's not enough. That's not going to carry an entire promotion. It's interesting, but it's not that interesting to make me sit there and watch those shows. I don't even want to watch Nakamura anymore.
No, it's so funny. I was watching the Bills game, and they had the commercial.
The commercial
on
I
Fox,
saw, yeah.
And I saw him with Rick Boogs. And I go, oh, I don't care. As soon as I saw it, I go, I just don't care. I'm like, nothing got me excited to even see any of it. And it's horrible. I mean, WWE used to be great, but you know what? Do you know what AEW is now? Greatest Western thrill of all.
Yeah, you kind of shoehorn that one in there.
Come on, that was a good one.
You never even get close. Give me some credit.
You're babbling.
Yeah. The thing is with NXT, man, you can tell that it's not just a rebranding. You can tell that Vince is basically taking it over now because they've already said they're not chasing any indie talent. And boy, are they right, because they debuted 6 people on the show.
One of them being the son of Rick Steiner, and they are not allowed to call him the son of Rick Steiner.
Braun Breaker.
Off to a tremendous start.
Who beat LA Knight flat.
Yeah.
And there's somebody else too. Oh God, who is it?
Von Wagner?
Yeah,
or something like that. Went right to the main event. He took Kyle O'Reilly's place.
And then there's somebody else that's another prodigy. There's actually a few prodigies, and I can't remember who the followers are. But yeah, I mean, Rick Steiner's obviously, or Scott. Yeah, Rick Steiner's the big one, obviously. But yeah, dude, it's an absolute clusterfuck. You can tell, you can't make us care in the people that we want to care about. Why are we going to care about nobodies? Especially, the hilarious thing is you dressed him up just like Rick Steiner, minus the headgear.
Oh my God, I know. Yeah. For me, it's funny because when you watch it, it looks like the old FCW. It looks like what they used to do when Cena and when he was Prototype and Batista was Leviation or whatever his name was. That's what it looks like, is just a... Man, you can't even call it AAA anymore. This looks like just nightly practice that people could come and watch. And I feel like you're wasting money and time on USA Network at all then. Like, no one's going to tune in and watch that weekly. I don't think. I mean, to me, it looks horrible.
Yeah. It's a damn shame. We used to care. Remember that? Remember when TakeOver was like the biggest event of the year? No matter which one it was?
Do you remember when we had
Pepperidge Farms
segments, AEW versus NXT?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. I have as much care. The care I have for NXT is about the size of Jodie Foster's itty bitty gun in our movie.
Always had a thing for Jodie Foster.
Oh yeah. You can't help it. You are irresistible.
That's creepy.
Not you.
Oh. Well, in that case, okay.
Mel Gibson.
Hello, noble savage.
News? Because hang on, we have a lot of negative shit we're about to talk about, but let's talk about. Hang on, I gotta find the exact. I think yeah, it's on my phone. Hang on, it's one of the funniest things. I don't know whoever. I'll give them credit, whoever their name is. Let's see. At BME_87. Seriously, within 2 months, AEW's managed to convince CM Punk and Martha fucking Hart to trust pro wrestling again. What kind of magic is this? Give us some news, man. What happened, ODM?
That sums it up. Got a little message from Nightwing today, this morning. I was working hard, diligently. I hope my employer hears this, but let's not cut ourselves. Nobody's listening. Yeah, I saw it, and I was just stunned.
Your mouth just opens. You're like, what?
Yeah, this doesn't, to an outsider who's not familiar with wrestling history or, didn't watch wrestling or doesn't pay attention nowadays, this is a big fucking deal. AEW is announcing the Owen Hart Cup tournament, and this is with full official affiliation with the Owen Hart Foundation. Which is
run by
Martha and Och.
Martha Hart.
Yeah, Martha runs
And
it. Och is a big part of it.
Yep. Which we learned from the Dark Side of the Ring.
Yep. So yeah, man, this is fucking huge. Owen Hart never really gets talked about in WWE, and I can imagine why. But somebody that, you and I are obviously both huge fans of, we're still getting to see him in the Monday Night Wars recap, and just had all the potential to be a world champ and just never got there for whatever reason. So if you want, I can read you some of this here real quick. Like, this is the press release.
Oh,
from
please
AEW.
do. I'm sure people have already heard it, but it's just great to hear it again because it's such. This is triumphant news. That I'm going to give you that. That's the descriptive word I could go with. This is triumphant because all of us who are major Owen Hart fans have been waiting for him to get some form of recognition, but Martha does not want the WWE to get any form of name recognition because of they killed her husband.
Holy shit, dude. Holy shit. Holy shit, I just had an idea.
Yeah, it was like, wow, were you that impressed with what I just said? You had a look on your face, but no, you just had an idea.
No. Dude, AEW creates, after the tournament's over, you make an announcement, and then at the next pay-per-view...
it's called the Owen Cup, by the way.
Yep, the Owens Cup.
No, it's actually called that. The Owen Cup.
I know. Yeah, I know.
You win the... I just wanted to throw that out there. I like the name. Just, that's it, the Owen Cup.
You just wanted
to
interrupt me, that's all.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Next pay-per-view.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say. Please. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead.
Your dog's a fucking whore.
Okay. I'm done.
AEW announces they're going to create their Hall of Fame. And the first entrant in the AEW Hall of Fame is Owen fucking Hart.
I could see it happen, and then maybe even at the same time.
That's just
I like how TNA does it once, one person a year. They used to do, or maybe one or two. I wouldn't mind seeing Owen and maybe even Brody Lee both get their nod into the Hall of Fame right there, because it's your own personal Hall of Fame and who you think. Maybe a stretch to put Heber in there, but you know what I'm saying.
Sure.
Very, very exciting. But yes, please read what you've all the notes that you have for the upcoming Owen Cup and what's also in the works.
All right, so this is the official AEW press release. AEW and the Owen Hart Foundation enter into a relationship to honor world-renowned wrestler Owen Hart's legacy. All Elite Wrestling and the Owen Hart Foundation, a nonprofit charity which provides a vast range of assistance and opportunities to individuals in need across the world, are collaborating to honor the legacy of late wrestler Owen Hart, a beloved figure in professional wrestling community and beyond. This collaboration includes launching the annual Owen Hart Cup tournament within AEW, which will see the winner receive a cup known as the Owen, as well as the production and distribution of unique and original Owen Hart merchandise, including specified retail goods, as well as the upcoming AEW console video game. Yes. Yes.
That was what I wanted to say. WWE couldn't even put Owen in any of their games since 1999. And we're going to get Owen in a video game, and he's going to be against the likes of Omega, Punk, Danny Bryan. I can't wait for this game. I have to buy a brand new system just to get this game, but I'm going to do it now. Wow.
I'm getting it. Yep.
Hats off to Tony Khan, AEW, anyone else who's involved. One of Punk's biggest things that he said that what changed his, not changed his mind, but really kicked it into overdrive as to why to work with AEW was the handling of Brody Lee's death. How they kept it within confines of the company. No one knew about it. Like, when we saw it, we're like, what? We're like, did he die in a car accident or something? Like, what? How the hell did that happen? Like,
right.
Wow, he was sick? No one knew. No one knew because they did it the right way. And how they handle it and how they handle wrestlers, I think that maybe Martha sees that in a way. Just pure speculation, but I think that just earning her trust at all, holy shit. And one more bit of news there to that. You've heard the rumors and the rumblings. Kevin Owens is thinking about leaving WWE, right? We've been seeing that. He's like Kevin Owens. The reason he went with Owen is because of Owen Hart. His real name, Kevin Steen. I would just want to see him show up and be in the Owen Hart Cup tournament. You win the Owen. That's what it's called, the Owen. I love that name. That's just so cool. Dude, God, we're talking about Owen Hart in 2021. That's awesome.
Hell yeah. It's something else. They're going to do action figures too, so it's going to be pretty cool. But the fact that, I think you nailed it.
Any more action figures, but I'll buy that.
Yeah, with Martha being on board and kind of giving her blessing. Again, like even CM Punk tweeted, he's like, guys, this is huge. And I mean, he nailed it. Yeah, it is fucking huge. Like, it seems trivial, but it is very, very huge. And it goes to show you that, like, AEW, you can call them marks, you can call them whatever you want. They actually are, like, operating with compassion. Now, it helps that, you know, this is play money for Tony Khan, and that's fine, whatever. But the fact
playing the right way.
Yeah, people are flocking there because of the culture. So, and you know, we're as fans, we're reaping the benefit of this, man. There's a lot of shit we can still complain about the product, but this just takes it to a whole different level.
Very exciting. So that was as much positive news as we could bring to the table this week. I was extremely excited that Dark Side of the Ring Season 3 Part 2, or Part 2, was starting up this past Thursday. I mean, come on, it's been a solid year of how much we have talked about how awesome this show is. Did it just reach a peak where maybe it went too far, or do you agree with it? Like, I'm dying. You and I barely have spoke about this. I only said, did you watch it? And you said, fuck yeah. Okay, good to know. I have everything listed out, but as it is, the plane ride from hell, I got to hear your thoughts, man. Go ahead. Uninterrupted, by the way.
Yeah. Let's put a bet on that one. Yeah, so a quick little shout out. The first half of Season 3 is now on Hulu. I found that out, which was nice. I missed a couple episodes, so I got to get caught up on that. Very awesome. I like that they published them that quickly. Moving on to the episode, I'm amazed that they got one of the flight attendants. I'm amazed. There's actually more shit.
Not
too.
One, the flight attendant.
The
you want to call
the
it
flight
it,
attendant.
Yeah.
So there's more news that kind of came out that I heard briefly. I don't have too much insight on. We'll get there when we get there. Absolutely amazing. Some of the shit. It seems like it wasn't just, you know, a fucked up event. It was like kind of traumatizing for some people. And there was some real life shit going on too. The most impressive thing to me, and I don't know if impressive is the right word, but it is still pretty fucking impressive. They got delayed on the tarmac, and before they even took off, they went through 3 booze carts. 3.
I don't even know where you get that. Do you go underneath to get like the extra booze? Like
No, they had to have one brought out from the
minis.
concourse. They had to bring it out from the wheel it out from the concourse and then lift it up into the plane. Yeah.
And these weren't your minis that you get on your regular flight.
Oh, full
these
bottles,
were
full bar.
bottles, yeah.
Yep, because they just started.
And guys
serving
were
themselves.
also using GHB, which was a pretty big thing at that point.
Halcyon.
And come on, every one of these guys are on some form of a painkiller because of what they do for a living. So you got, whether it's Oxy, Perks, things like that. Everybody's on, not everybody, but a good chunk of them are on pills as it is. So 2 drinks already, you're going to be making some bad decisions. Do you want me to run down the list of everything, or
just run it down? I'll jump in where I...
All right, so let's first talk. You know, we always have on Dark Side of the Ring, you have multiple talkers, people who are there reliving the story in any way, kind of like Aunt Linda for Brian Pillman's. JR, Tommy Dreamer, one guy who was just incredible. Sorry. Mike Chioda. I love when you shake your head at that. And RVD. And, of course, narrated, as it has been for the last, I think, couple of seasons now, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho. All right, let's go down the list here. One other person that talks is Heidi. She is the flight attendant. I'm calling her by name. If she didn't have as many stories as she had or encounters, I'd have been like, so the flight attendant, you really have a feel for this lady at the end, before the end of this episode, maybe even like 20 minutes in, you're like, dear God, she's going to need counseling. And I don't mean that in any sarcastic way. Everything I'm talking about right now, I'm extremely serious with, because I think a lot of these guys, look at, man, they're assholes and they went way too far. You and I have gotten drunk. We've gotten really messed up. We've gotten keyed up on any other type of thing you can maybe think of, if not all of them, but you know what I'm saying? Like, and we've never gone as far as some of the shit that we watched in this episode. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Let's start with, first, you got Mr. Prankster himself, Mr. Perfect. He goes to a sleeping Brock Lesnar with a handful of shaving cream and just pops him on top of his head. And you want to talk about a beast? Apparently he ran after him like a beast. And they started fighting in the aisleway. And it's funny how some encounters, they're like, it was really scary and it looked really bad. And then JR's like, yeah, they were play fighting in the aisle. I'm like, which one was it? They go into the door, which is a scary thing because it is the emergency exit. However, for that to open at that altitude and speed, not going to happen, but it still was enough where it's scary.
So I'd be freaked the fuck out.
Oh, absolutely. Here is the issue, especially with the weight of the two guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's Mr. Perfect was not a small guy. My question is this. Did you notice that the story was only basically Brock Lesnar was beating the shit out of Perfect, or he had the upper hand on Perfect? But I've heard Perfect announce multiple times, I'm the guy that took Brock Lesnar down at 30,000 feet or whatever it is. So I'm like, I wonder, but you can't ask the dead, and I don't mean that in a dickish way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, what, we could just say this and it's all right. I'm going to fast forward to Brock Lesnar, because you want to talk about you can't ask the dead. You could ask the living some questions if you need to. Terry Reynolds, Marlena. She said, and we'll get to her in a couple minutes, but she said that Brock Lesnar had flashed her one time, called her into a spot in the locker room. Dustin was in there.
Don't sell it.
He flashed it. Don't sell it. Yep. Told her don't sell it. And she didn't. She went back to her locker room and never really.
It was on that tour.
Yeah, exactly. But also on this tour, Bradshaw had a match with X-Pac in which he was busted open. And while he is asleep, this is a dick thing to do to someone, man. And you hear some of the guys, they're saying that, yeah, you had to sleep with sunglasses on because you didn't know if you should mess with the person or not. Because if they're asleep, yeah, mess with them. Bradshaw was sleeping. Michael P.S. Hayes, Doc Hendricks, had the night off from hawking merchandise and was really messed up. And people said, like, this is the worst they'd ever seen of him. Now, there's one thing they didn't put out there on this in Dark Side of the Ring that I had heard from multiple sources and multiple different wrestlers and shoots. He attempted to piss on Linda McMahon, apparently. He got close to where he was just going to go and, like, piss right in front of her, on her, something like that while she was sleeping. Just throwing that out there. Not sure if that report's real or not, but there's that. Anyway. He walks up to Bradshaw and just pops him right on the stitches or head, or on the head where the bandage was. I'm not sure if it was stitched or not, but makes him bust it open. And JBL stands up and gives him, he said, what did the five fingers say to the face? He knocked out Doc Hendricks with a slap to the face. And while he was knocked out, crowd starts chanting, and X-Pac grabs a pair of scissors and cuts off Doc's infamous mullet, ponytail, whatever it is. Holy shit. And they said like it was like a championship win pop. Like everyone popped on the airplane. That's hysterical. A championship type win pop for cutting someone's hair. Then, this is the second time that Terry was told to no sell something, because while she was sitting there, Dustin gets on the PA microphone and starts singing a David Allan Coe song. And when you hear the words, it's basically, I love you, I miss you, you're my everything, or whatever you want to call it, to Terry. And Paul Heyman looks over at her and says, no, sell it. Being like, don't react. Don't be like, you're being an asshole, blah, blah, because they're divorced at this time. And he's clearly not in the best frame of mind. Dustin comes up again in a little bit. A couple of times. Just when you think, okay, everything has calmed down, this poor flight attendant, Heidi, had to ask Dustin to sit down. She just got right near the middle of two fucking rhinos fighting with each other in the middle of a plane and hitting the door. So she's already having easily the worst day of her life ever as a flight attendant. By the way, this is a sports jet. It's all first class seating, and they deal with teams, sports types things all the time. So not her first rodeo with celebrities. This is a first, all this stuff. And the next one to follow is absolutely the worst. I am entirely shocked. If you can't tell me, I'm sorry. Look at man. And people are like, yeah, that was just one time. It's not the only. It was the first time you got caught. Flair took his robe off, and everybody said, as he was always known to do. Or not his robe, I'm sorry. Took all of his clothes off and put on his robe. And, okay, this is not funny, but the only thing that was kind of funny is she goes, and he came at me with his cape. And I just thought it was kind of funny she called the robe a cape. And I'm like, it was, but either way.
Well, it's pretty flamboyant. I could see mistaking it for a cape.
No, I know. It was like, but I was like, this is not a superhero for sure. And he starts helicopter twirling his manhood all over everybody at the plane, and especially to this flight attendant, and has her cornered for what each person has talked about, like minutes. It was not like 30 seconds, and he was like, come on, nothing, moved out of the way. Not saying any of that would have been fair, but I'm just saying, or fine, I just mean more of like, he's there for a long fucking time, and that's
right.
Scary for her. And asked her to grab him. He asked her. She refused, but he grabbed her hand and did it anyway. Wow. And again, sorry, don't mean to be a dick. It's not your first time, man. It was the first time you got caught. The way you act, the way you style profile, all that shit, and I wouldn't be shocked if this is account number one of many that are now going to come out. And we're already getting lashing followings from this episode alone. So we'll get into that soon. Tommy Dreamer is the one that makes the comments in this. Basically, it was Flair. We all knew he was joking around, but obviously, somebody took offense to it. Very insensitive comments. And we'll get back to that in a minute. This poor motherfucking flight attendant, when you thought her day was over. Now they are landing, or have landed, or about to land. And she's trying to wake up a passed out Scott Hall, who wakes up and immediately pulls her by her shirt and tells her, I want to lick you, and starts doing so. And then he just passes the fuck out. Oh, my God. And then Justin Credible had to wheel Scott Hall through the airport with a pair of sunglasses on. And he said Vince was standing there pissed off, or JR, one of them, like really, mad. And the next day, not only was the ponytail hanging in a baggie next to the roster lineup for the day's matches or whatever by X-Pac, but they also dealt out some firings. Dustin was one of them, to make a example, because not only his little singing and dancing routine, he also apparently was spitting all of his chew in the back of a seat.
Yep.
And, well, he did get a little saving grace by the flight attendant. She said he came over and stopped Flair. She goes, and he didn't give me a hard time at the microphone. So she goes, so I'm not mad at him. Like, she kind of like was hinting, being like, he was releasing my worries for the day.
Yeah, she was pissed off when he took the PA, but this kind of redeemed him a little bit. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. A lot of people get fired for this shit, man.
Hennig?
Yeah, Kurt Hennig, yeah. And everybody believed that he would be back in the organization, but he died only like 6 months later after this thing. X-Pac was let go as well. But Ric Flair was not.
Yep.
And Jim Ross said he should have been. I don't know. I mean, and he even said there's one man that gets to say. So Jim Ross said Flair's got to go. He ain't taking him out. Lesnar didn't even get in trouble. And now let's talk about Lesnar right now. In the thing, it says we reached out to Brock Lesnar about Terry's comment. No response.
Yeah, of course.
Now, do you think it's okay for WWE? You fired Enzo on an allegation from a girl. Someone that's actually worked with you is telling you you should be able to take Terry at her word, right? You know her. You took a random person at their word about Enzo and fired him on the spot. You can't tell me this isn't a fireable offense for Brock Lesnar. Because why I say that, Brock Lesnar did that. Tommy Dreamer didn't even show a body part. He didn't even say, yeah, it's cool that
he
Flair
was callous
did it.
with his remarks.
Yes, and it was not even callous. I think he was ignorant as well as to how he was saying it. He didn't I don't think he mean, like, when he's like, well, obviously someone took offense to it. I don't think he meant it in a shitty way as much. I think he kind of meant like it went too far, or it could have been. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes there's a lot of different things on the cutting room floor. Who knows how he could have said it? And I'm just saying, for all the things that Tommy's done throughout the years, never heard a bad word about him. No one's ever said a bad thing about Tommy Dreamer up until this thing. But why I'm saying all of this, Impact Wrestling lets him go.
Did they let him go? Or I thought they suspended him.
They suspended him.
Right.
They suspended him. I'm sorry. But I'm just saying, how is Lesnar not getting canceled is the word that's going around. But the other person, you think this is the first for Ric Flair? Think this is the first of many? Or do you think, does he even get canceled in any way?
He already has.
Fully?
He did, he was doing, was it Car Shield commercials? They've stopped that. Yeah, they've cut him off. So yeah, it's already starting.
And there was, I heard there was reason that Andrade just recently dumped Chavo Guerrero Jr. as his manager because they were going to eventually be bringing in Flair.
Ooh,
I don't think that's happening now.
I don't think so either.
You know, speaking of insensitive things, I do gotta quickly say, did you see Max Caster came back?
Yes. Yeah, it was the go to sensitivity training and come back.
Hey, you know what though?
Sammy Guevara.
I like that. Yeah, and you know what? I like Sammy. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues with him. He did his time. He owned up to it, apologized the right way, and good. Flair, if everybody just keeps going, I have no recollection of that. I have no recollection of that. It's not a good enough answer, man.
Yeah.
That's not a good enough answer. I don't care. If you were completely blacked out and someone said you did that, then go, I have no recollection of it, but I take full responsibility and full blame. Because if others are saying it, I mean, there's like 5 different stories of everybody being like, hey, he was flinging his dick around and grabbing the lady. Dude, just listening to her talk, I want to give her a fucking hug. I felt bad for her, dude. I was like, this poor lady. And she said something that most people wouldn't think about, man, do you know that could break up, and this has nothing to do with wrestling, but that could break up a marriage of just like how she said, the husband would be like, well, what did you do that made him want to do that? Because there's those guys out there, right?
There
I'm
are.
like,
Yep.
That's some really fucked up shit, man. And it's a very hard episode to swallow. And then I'm coming to find out that apparently this isn't the only time this season that Flair is going to be in trouble about some things. Apparently there's some other things that are going to be coming to light. But let me ask you this question. Did Dark Side of the Ring creators, Jericho included with narration, did they all know, be like, yes, it's going to ruin that person's career?
Are you asking if they did it because they wanted to ruin their careers,
Nope,
or did they
nope.
just?
Do you
or
think
are you
that
asking
once they
if
got
they,
done,
if they thought about how this could potentially impact certain people's careers?
Sure, the latter of the two, not the first. I don't think that they did it with any intent of trying to.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that's a really good question. I mean, listen, I don't know. I mean, this can't be the first time that they've, as documentarians, that they've been like, if we do this, people are going to hate this person. You know what I mean? I mean, fuck, look at WWE's Macho Man documentary where they pretty much just shit all over him. Yeah. Right? And they did that with somebody dead, obviously, but I'm sure they were aware that some of these things were not going to make people look good, but in the end, they're here to tell a story, as truthful as they can. So
It's crazy that Tommy Dreamer got canceled. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to, stand up for him in any way. It's more of, he's getting canceled, but Lesnar's not. Kiss my ass. That's, sorry, man. And it's nothing against my love or hate for Lesnar. I just think it's messed up. But one thing that you could say positively that came out from this is that look at the crop of wrestlers that you got now today. When Cena took over the locker room after, it was a clean mentality. And everybody can make fun of it. Oh, back in our days, everybody was all doing drugs, and now you guys are all playing video games. Yeah, well, guess what? They're all keeping their jobs. They're not assaulting people. I mean, when you kind of look at it, yeah, maybe Seth Rollins is a dork for sitting and playing video games all day. But he's not being accused of shit. Well, anymore. He did at one point, actually. But you know what I'm saying. That was his ex-girlfriend. It's all very, very sketchy. Is that the word I can go with? The whole thing is very sketchy. I was just excited to hear some really cool instances, and I walked away being like, oh my God, I feel like an accessory to rape by just watching that episode, listening to this shit. I feel like I want to turn someone in. Jesus. It was a messed up episode, man. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, it was insane. Because, I mean, we knew some of the stories, but to a certain level. And, she was even talking about, Heidi was talking about, she refused to clean the airplane because, Dustin had been spitting his chew into the fucking backseat pocket. They said there was puke and piss all over the place. It was a shit show, man. Now, one of the things that I heard about was Evan Husney and, one of the creators of Dark Side of the Ring. They were talking about, multiple people were talking about Vince being on the plane. Now there seems to be some question if Vince was even actually on that flight.
Oh, he was on that flight. He's just never going to, because it was said by multiple people, he was on that flight. Not even just in that. I'm saying other shoot interviews. If you go back to kayfabe commentary, some of the things that people talk about, Nash was on the flight, he wasn't an asshole. Taker was on the flight, just didn't get involved. Who knows, man? He could have headphones and stuff going on.
He was sitting in the front with Vince.
There you go. Yeah, like Terry, she didn't want to sit with the boys. She sat up at the front with Vince. That's the point. And I'm like, but you can't tell me you didn't hear any of this. I mean, the flight's loud, but I mean, everybody cheering a loud pop for the hair. Wouldn't he be like, go check on it? Jim Ross was sent back there. Vince is more like nobody say that I was there. The whole thing's weird, man. There's a lot more stories are going to be coming out from this thing, I'm telling you. Do you know what one of my favorite things to do each week is? Bring something to the table. And this week, I got a little something for you.
Just bring it, bitch! Oh my God!
Well, now I bring all sorts of pluses to the table. I hardly ever bluff, and I never, ever cheat. Worked for the table this week. Hey, O.D.M, why don't you tell me, what do you have to bring to the table this week? Because I can't say that mine's going to be what I would call the word positive, so maybe you have some uplifting things you want to say.
Yeah, not a lot of positives for you there. One thing I'm going to tell you right now, kayfabe listeners, your video feed's cutting out. I can barely hear what the fuck you're saying. That actually might be a good thing, though. So my bring it to the table is...
Good to know.
With the lag, I just got the fucking reaction. My bring it to the table is... referenced it earlier, I took Big E first overall in our IFW, which is our Ronda Quake Fantasy Wrestling League. And, yeah, man, O.D.M's in first place, crushing it. Fucking doing great. Apparently, Professor, though, I don't know. That's really all my bring it to the table is. I'm kicking ass. I'm going to win that fucking title belt, and I can't wait to fucking shove it in his face right on this fucking podcast. It's going to be great. You like that, don't you, bitch?
Do you want to tell the listeners how you found out about this thing? How'd you find out about the draft?
From my cousin.
Me? Well, yeah, okay, but me too. But there are 10 combatants, I think, in this draft.
See, correcto.
And I am in dead last. I thought I was smart by drafting not only Jimmy Uso, but Jey Uso. I'm like, they're going to win tag matches. They're the tag team champions. They defend it, and shit, it's like 40 points right there, baby. They've defended the title like 3 times over the last several weeks and lose every time to the Street Profits or Private Profits, or whatever they are.
Via DQ, yep.
DQ, count out. I'm like, oh my God, now they're going to go to Extreme Rules where there's no rules. And I go, and that's where they're going to lose the goddamn titles. Oh my God. I really could not have picked the worst people possible. Now, I mean, some people, if they lost, like someone lost The Miz to Dancing with the Stars. Some people have been
Adam Cole.
released or got injured.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But, it is what it is. I really wish we had put AEW in this game at some point, but maybe next season. So, yeah I'm not doing too well, crazy. But that's not what I wanted to bring to the table this week, man. You know what I want to bring to the table? The unfortunately most talked about segment from NXT. Indy Hartwell marrying Dexter Lumis. I almost said Sam Shaw. I forgot his name.
Yeah,
right. It's already crap to me. It's already crap. I've been having a bad couple of fucking days with work. Hey, they even do it in this movie. I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yeah,
but I love that you even hear the bad couple of days at work. And Nightwing thing, it just caught me at a time where I felt like being a very big sarcastic asshole. But he messages the other days, guys, can you believe when's the last time that they did a wedding and it didn't end in a bad way? Wasn't that cool? The fuck are you talking about? There was wrestling, there was all these other things, and you're worrying about weddings? Are you serious? Is that what you just brought up? And he goes, I'm just saying, do you get my point? No, I don't. I don't get your point, man. And he goes, tell me the last time that it went off with no problem. All right, fine, Macho Liz. Can we go back to talking about wrestling now?
Well, the reception. It didn't
minus
go
the Cobra Snake at the reception. It's just, I don't know. I was like, I don't care. My point to this is not to bust your balls in my entire segment, Nightwing. My point in this is I've never been a fan of weddings. I know that it's going to end in an angle. I know it'll be funny, like Kane coming up from under the mat one time, or AJ Lee becoming the general manager and leaving Daniel Bryan at the altar. I mean, there were some cool angles that were like, okay, yeah, nice. That's how you pulled it off. Okay. Jesus, dude. The best one actually was Billy and Chuck on SmackDown. Because at the end, they were like, and I now pronounce, and he goes, these two men who are lovers, and they go, whoa, 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 we're not gay. We just want to be partners for life, man. Like, but then it ends up being Eric Bischoff is the pastor the whole time who was talking like a 90-year-old stuttering drunk man. It was amazing. They're funny, but it's nothing I ever look forward to. No. And anytime they go, there's a wedding angle, I'm like, yeah, I'll read about it.
Especially now.
I don't care.
Anything now is just cringe.
So, I'm sorry. It wasn't just to bust your balls, Nightwing. And you can give me some shit if you want next week, because he is back next week talking about, well, his good shit of the week. And we're actually going to hear a little bit from him a little bit later on. But first, before we even get into our top topic of the week, which is, again, belt straps, titles, titties, or titles, strap. Hey, man, let's go to Monday Night Wars.
Bleep, 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 bleep.
Marty, you've got to come back with me.
Where?
Back to the future.
Wait a minute, Doc. What are you talking about? What happens to us in the future? What, do we become assholes or something?
Give me a hell yeah! You want a war? You're going to get one.
Mick Foley is going to win their world title.
Has been paid for by the New World Order. Come on, Vince. Step into the ring.
My God, the battle lines have been drawn!
The Generation X invades WCW tonight!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
Have a nice day!
We got 2 words for ya!
It was Mind Games, WWF, their pay-per-view, and this was on September 22nd, 25 years ago. And, well, you had a free-for-all match that was Marty Jannetty and Savio Vega having a match, but then Justin Hawk Bradshaw comes out and jumps Savio Vega, and they end up having a strap match to open up the actual pay-per-view. I know I just realized I just took the notes and just started running with it, but I'm diving in, man. Okay, cool. There we go.
Have some fun on
it. Savio Vega wins as Bradshaw pulls him into the final buckle, where you have to touch all 4 turnbuckles. I thought it was a cool ending. I like that. The next match was Jose Lothario taking on the Kool-Aid Man. Oh, I'm sorry, Jim Cornette. Dude, he looked like the Kool-Aid Man with the big giant red shirt, the big belly, and then the black pants on the bottom. I was like, this is horrible.
Who was it?
But what was more horrible was the match itself.
JR said it looked like he was wearing some of Yokozuna's old trunks, and they were a little snug on him.
Oh, JR. Wow, we're going to talk a lot about JR this week.
Oh, boy. Are we?
But Jose Lothario gets the win with an uppercut. Backstage, Doc Hendricks, mullet and all, he's talking with Savio Vega because he was jumped by Diesel and Razor in the hallway. It's weird. I thought they were on WCW, but I guess they're back in WWF already.
Well,
okay.
We'll get there.
Dude, I know.
No, yeah.
Up next, Brian Pillman comes to the ring, and we have a video from Bret Hart. Oh, it's Brett, not Bert. It's Brett. Bret Hart saying that Brian Pillman is a liar. I never said I was going to be at this pay-per-view. Out comes Owen Hart, and he's saying he has patched stuff up with his brother Bert, and which is great because they end up, patching things up down the road. But I do like that they're starting to hint towards him coming back, because the next segment is Steve Austin on commentary, and he says that I had to double check on how he says this. Bret Hart, he's not a chicken. He's the slimy substance that comes out of the back end of the chicken. That's a good line, man. And if you put the letter S in front of the Hitman, you have my exact thoughts of him.
That's a famous line right there. We're starting to go full tilt. This is the launching point. Everybody says King of the Ring. Yes, it was King of the Ring that started making people pay attention, but now is when he really
kind of really took
taking
Brett
control.
coming back for him to get his for Austin to really get momentum and heat.
Yep.
Because for anybody who's a loving Bret Hart fan, you're like, dude, I mean, like, I want to cheer you, Steve, but I mean, Bret's my boy. Let's not talk about him like that. That's at least how I was. But you know, you want to talk about setting things up for the future? We haven't seen Austin 316 versus Pillman 9mm Glock. But Pillman's wearing the shirt in the ring that says, I don't call 911, and it has a revolver right there in the middle of the shirt. And I go, wow, we haven't even gotten to that part yet, and he's already letting people know he's going to shoot you. Awesome! In our next match, Owen Hart and the Bulldog defeat the Smoking Guns for the tag team titles. And in a weird thing, because Owen and Bulldog are heels, they do a face-type move by messing up Sonny's poster ahead of time.
Yep.
And they have their signature on there. It was just kind of weird, you know. But you know, I'll tell you, Sonny, man, after you is ugly Sonny. You know, when she was born, she came out backwards and no one noticed. Hell, when she was little, her parents had to tie a pork chop around her so the dog would play with her. When she's making love, she has to pretend she's somebody else. Sorry, I didn't know where else I was going to shoehorn that one in there, and I figured Sonny was the best one to talk about with how she looks nowadays. Okay. Boo! Whatever. Not all of them are A+ quotes. All right, man. I have to bring it back every now and then. But the next match was... Man, this whole pay-per-view is pretty goddamn craptastic. Let me just say that. But we get Mark Henry versus Jerry Lawler. Mark Henry's very first WWF match. He beats Jerry Lawler. Meh. Because Mark can't work for shit right now. This is not your pink salmon colored, I'm retiring Mark Henry. This is, he is, who's the guy?
Gable Stevenson.
Gabe Steve. Yeah, that's who he is. It's like they just put him on a pay-per-view and said, here, why don't you fight a wrestler and hold him in a bunch of different ways. Don't do any power slams. Just hold him, making it look like you're squeezing him, and then you'll get the win.
Pretty much.
In the next match, it was a final curtain match between Undertaker and Goldust. Undertaker ends the feud, becoming victorious over Goldust. The most talked about match ever from this show, because the whole pay-per-view is not great. I mean, you do have some new tag champs. You have a strap match, but really it wasn't one of the best pay-per-views I'd ever watched. I was more like just kind of going through the motions of having to watch this one rather than being excited. But the match that everybody talks about is what the main event was. WWF champion Shawn Michaels defending against Mankind. Do you want to break down what happened at the end?
Yeah, so this was, and we've seen this actually in the last couple In Your Houses at the very least, if not all the pay-per-views, where WWF is shoehorning their top three storylines into one main event match, basically. Very long match, teasing the mandible claw, a lot of chair shots. There was a table spot in this one. Ultimately, what I thought was a cool spot, you know, it didn't look as flawless, but I mean, it's hard to make it look flawless. So I thought it was cool. Mankind has a chair as he's trying to get to the top turnbuckle. There's a chair standing up. HBK launches himself, super kicks Mankind through the chair, which knocks him off, goes for the pin. Vader comes down, interferes. It's a schmaz. But HBK is able to knock Vader out of the ring. Sid comes down, so we've got that feud going. For some reason, Paul Bearer and Mankind brought a casket down with them. Bearer opens up the casket after Mankind gets HBK in the mandible claw. And who's in the casket but The Undertaker? The look on Bearer's face, I'm going to try to get that screen grab. That's a good one because they showed it on Raw. It was
That's a good one.
That was a really good one. So they fight off to the back. And then, yeah, we've got HBK kind of just sitting there at the end like, huh. McMahon actually congratulates HBK, and then he has another awkward stare down with Perfect. Like, we already know you never gave us this. Why are you teasing us with it? Such a tease.
Every time I see it, I'm like,
yeah, what could have
again,
been?
you didn't do anything. Why are you even doing it?
Yeah, and he could have wrestled. You know damn well he still could have wrestled.
He took down Brock Lesnar years later. All right. Well, and that's how the pay-per-view ends. Raw, I got to say, was pretty, probably one of the more entertaining Raws I think I've watched in a while. I liked this episode. There's a lot to talk about. Why don't you run down the episode?
Okay.
Hey, I just got to make a quick shout out, by the way. Kudos to both of us. We don't ever plan out what we're going to wear to a podcast since we're both just, talking over the phone. But, man, we're both wearing Buffalo Bills stuff today.
Yeah.
Bills.
All
right. Monday Night Raw, the 23rd, 96.
All right. Razor, we get a little recap of Razor and Diesel showing up at Mind Games last night. Mr. Perfect's in the ring for the Intercontinental Championship Finals. We got Pat Patterson as the ref. It's Farouk with Sonny versus Mark Mero with Sable. It's fucked up because they have the Buried Alive tombstone because they're hyping the first Buried Alive match ever. So the tombstone's just sitting in the middle of the entranceway. You have to walk around it. Interesting. Yeah, Sonny ends up bringing a purse with a brick in it. It ends up in Farouk's hand. He tries to use it. Mero reverses, and he gets the win with a shooting star press. The thing that pisses me off is that it took him like 5 minutes to get him set up for the shooting star press after he hit him with the purse. Like, bro, either hit it from where you're at or don't hit it at all. Just get on with it. You're stupid for taking that much time. JR and Mr. Perfect get in the ring afterwards. Mark Mero would like to thank, first of all, the almighty Lord Jesus Christ. I don't know who that is, but he must have been really important in his life. Then he thanks the fans, and then, of course, he thanks Sable.
Never heard of him.
And then, Jesus. I like him very much. And then
hey, you know what? My old pappy used to say there's no more deeply satisfying religious experience than cheating on a cheater.
Yep. And then he thanks Mr. Perfect, which I was like, okay, that's kind of out of nowhere. But, yeah. And then we got somebody trying to get into Razor and Diesel's locker room. The door opens. You see Razor's vest, and Razor just kind of backhands the door shut. So that's all you really see for now.
It's got to be him.
I don't remember this at all, and god damn it, like, it's just a train wreck. I know it's going to be hideous and I shouldn't look, but I'm going to look. I
remember it and I'm so excited.
Vince McMahon does an expose segment on Jeff Jarrett's song With My Baby Tonight. And they're going
spending my days working hard on the go, but the hand on the clock keeps spinning too slow.
He says that Nashville...
I can't wait to be alone with my baby tonight.
Vince says Nashville rejected him as a singer and a wrestler and makes a Milli Vanilli joke and says the real person who sang the song will be on Raw next week. He did do a pretty shitty job of lip-syncing that. But, yeah, so we're going to get that bombshell. I can't wait.
You know who it is, right?
I don't remember, no.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Oh, I'm excited.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm so excited.
Isn't it?
No, don't say it. Don't say it. Maybe the listener doesn't remember.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Anyway.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
No, honestly, but it's funny because they first start showing Double J versus
Shawn Michaels
from In Your House. And I go, wait, what fucking year are we watching right now? I thought we were in 96. Like, as soon as they start showing that, I go, why? And I go, that's not like the WWE. You go, last year this happened. You get 2 weeks ago at best. They have very short-term memory.
Oh,
so I was surprised that that's what they were doing. But yeah, and they show Road Dogg but not helping, accidentally screwing Double J out of the title and him winning. But then on that same night was when he sang With My Baby Tonight. So it's just it's a very, like I said, I'm like, we're going back a whole year and we're really talking crap about Double J and he doesn't even work for the company. Cool, let's do this.
Yeah, so we get the body downers versus Owen and Bulldog with Clarence Mason. Mason's on commentary, and Cornette basically cuts a promo on Mason saying, I asked for your legal counsel, you end up stealing my tag team. And Owen wins with the sharpshooter. So, not much to say there. We get a little bit of recap of the main event from Mind Games. They do a Taker promo for the Buried Alive match. They're pushing that as the first unsanctioned match ever in WWF. Let's see. JR is going to talk with Diesel and Razor later in the evening.
I can't believe they're pulling double duty because I know that they're going to be headlining on Nitro too.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll get to there because I've got comments and I don't know. Yeah. Next was match of the night. It was Triple H versus the Stalker.
Wait, before you get there, I'm not sure if your version has what my version has, but they have the Crash Bandicoot Slam of the Week, which was the Shawn Michaels hitting Mankind, but. Just a shout out to Crash Bandicoot. What a good game, man. I saw that and I go, I'd like to play that game right now. I got to finish watching Raw. Okay.
So
because the truth is, I got a one-track mind, but it's hard to concentrate with a girl like mine. I can't wait to be alone with my baby tonight. Oh, yeah, I know all the lyrics. Go ahead.
Oh, I know you do. I was going to go on the tangent, and then you interrupted me on that, too, and started singing the song. So now I don't even know where the fuck to pick up from.
I think it was Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, no, we're not going there. We're done with it. You lost the opportunity.
Did it have to do, was it the Stalker?
Triple H versus the Stalker. Austin's on commentary. It's basically them just setting up the Brett match. Triple H looked a complete moron during this one. Perfect comes
Stalker
inside.
is Barry Windham, by the way.
What's that? Yes.
Barry Windham.
Yes. Perfect comes out and distracts Triple H and gives the Stalker the advantage, and they immediately cut to a commercial, only so they could come back and do the same thing again, and Stalker gets the win. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Next, JR basically just cuts a long-winded promo trying to cover up the fart in a church that is about to occur. Yeah, so back when they first started talking about this, you made a very interesting point, and I don't know if you did it on purpose and I just missed it, or if not. Ross has been saying that Diesel and Razor Ramon, the bad guy, are returning.
Mm-hmm.
Gorilla Monsoon says Scott Hall and Kevin Nash aren't coming back from what I know. So neither of them were lying. Subtle.
It's showing you now how much WWE owns the likeliness of names. This is starting to really come into effect.
Absolutely. Razor comes out and commentary immediately goes, "That's not Razor." And then as he's doing his vocal impersonation of Razor, which, he gets attacked by...
Even I could do better.
Yeah. Savio Vega comes out and attacks him and they go off the air.
And it's Rick Bogner. That's the... he just passed away, I think, last year.
Rick Boogs.
Boogs! Okay. JR also, we got to talk about this. This is like one of his hardest heel promos because they're trying to make him a heel guy. And he's saying that I was a renowned announcer, and then I came to work for the WWF. And in 1993, my first day, they put me in a damn toga because it was WrestleMania 9. I remember that too. And then he has his bout with Bell's palsy, and he even says that. And he's like, "Do you think I like this? Do you think my..." Going through the whole thing, kind of like our hidden track. You want to hear a funny story? So you know how like nowadays we have the internet. Yeah, like you could rewind Raw, you could hear what someone says. He said he had Bell's palsy. Finished Raw. Next day, went to school. Came home. We're eating dinner. And I asked my mom, "Have you ever heard of Balls Ballsy?" She goes, "What?" And I go, "Balls Ballsy." My mind kind of set in weird ways over the day or so and mixed some weird letters around. And I go, "What's Balls Ballsy?" And she goes, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about." Come to find out, it was Bell's palsy, and I was an idiot. So that ends Raw, and that ends my day of me telling you how stupid I can be.
Okay.
Let's talk about Nitro.
Let's talk about Nitro. NWO is taking an ad out in USA Today. It's an NWO Monday Nitro, as most of the WCW roster is in Japan. We get a recap of Fall Brawl with Macho's match against the Giant, and he is the only true mainstay that is there for the WCW. We see some fans earlier in the evening tearing up NWO flyers, so you can see some sympathy for WCW there. This Nitro was kind of fucked up. Like, there was just some weird shit.
You're saying fucked up, dude. Do you have any idea how many times I had to cross things out on this sheet? For good reasons. You'll know why once you start talking. But I'm like, oh, my God. This thing is a mess because this whole show was one.
We get Taskmaster and Conan versus Brad Armstrong and Juventud Guerrera. Bubba's there at ringside with the Dungeon. Conan hits this really sick fisherman's DDT. It was pretty nasty looking.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was really nice, dude. He planted him hard, too. It was really good looking. He goes to tag in Sullivan, and Sullivan says, no, stay in. Conan looks kind of confused. Hits another move, gets the same result. That allows Armstrong to be the hot tag, but he ends up tagging in Sullivan eventually, and they get the pin. Then Conan gets jumped by Sullivan and Bubba. And it turns out they were just beating him in like a gang initiation. They were jumping him in.
Because that's what they've been doing in the dungeon all along. Everybody who's been in there, they have beaten into... Jeez, it was so stupid. Well, you know, they did lose a member recently in the Giant. Maybe they're like, you know, we got to start initiating guys in here. We got to beat the shit out of them, make sure that they... Then we're going to tattoo them. Got to blood them in.
Did you just say blow them in?
Blood them in.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Blood them in? What the fuck is that? Oh, my God. Okay.
You know, my old pappy used to say, never
sneeze
sneeze when you hide, never smile when you lie, and under no circumstances, blow them in.
Touche. Tenay's backstage with Macho. Macho has another good promo. We then get Mike Enos versus Chris Jericho. His music is fucking awful and great at the same time. I love it.
I didn't know Mike Enos stayed around this long in WCW.
Me neither.
I would have thought just enough for that Scott Hall opening thing that we saw, and that was it. But he's been on Nitro every week.
Yeah, not doing much. Jericho does what he can to make the match entertaining. It seemed to go too long for me. And Jericho got the win on an ugly reversal. So there's that. Next we get Glacier versus Pat Tanaka. Tanaka's still using Goldberg's music.
Yeah.
And Glacier wins with a nice spinning heel kick. Again, I think the entrance and the post-match posing lasted longer than the actual match.
What was the guy's name on Mortal Kombat? That's what we got to start calling
Sub-Zero?
What was it? Sub-Zero. There you go.
Yeah.
I was like, Mr. Freeze. I'm like, no, that's Batman. I know it. Cool. Sub-Zero takes the win.
Yeah.
Against a guy using Goldberg's eventual theme.
It was fucking hilarious. Matt Gaffari, who's an Olympic wrestler, is in attendance. I guess they're trying to follow that Mark Henry thing. Maybe. I don't know. Next.
Public Nasties.
Nasty Enemies versus Harlem Heat for the tag titles. Harlem Heat's going to be defending the titles at Halloween Havoc against the Outsiders. They flash back to the back. NWO's limo's there. Stang is still there. There's a very sloppy small package. Nick Patrick's the ref. And gives the win to fucking Public Enemy. And the only other thing that I wrote is, are you fucking kidding me?
Okay, the only way I could look at this is if the Outsiders are the ones that are going to be doing it. You don't want to make Heat look bad, but you made them look bad to Public Enemy?
Exactly.
Okay, all right, good stuff. I don't know. Have you bought a couple of the 2K games over the last couple of years? Maybe not the last 2 years, but maybe years prior?
I think 19 might be the last one that we bought.
Greg Valentine came out to a song that's on 2K. I can't figure out what it is, man, but in the next match, Greg Valentine came out to a song that I go, that's on one of the games that I have. I'm like, I'm not sure who
I've
uses
heard Greg Valentine's. I remember when the first time he came out, I said his music's actually pretty badass, but I don't recognize it from the game.
Now as I'm hearing it, this one, I'm not sure if it's the same one every time, but it kind of, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Either way, but oh my God, who does he fight? Savage.
Mr. Hour 2.
Hey man, they got both of them. It's Hour 2. You got chemistry. You guys could do it. Go for it. Boom.
Yep. Not much. So I mean, the meat of this, Macho goes nuts, hits Valentine with a chair off the top, gets DQ'd. That's when NWO hits the ring, and they do show Liz. She doesn't come to the ring this time, but you can see she looks concerned. She runs off to the back. I wrote Giant on the mic. Oh no.
He's dressed really nicely. Everybody's in the black and white NWO colors. He's dressed like he's the butler in the family.
He's looked like he's at junior prom.
Oh, my God. Can I tell you my favorite part? They beat the crap out of Savage. He goes around high-fiving every NWO member and goes to give one to a laid-out Savage. He goes, well, I guess he can't give me one.
Oh, that's not my favorite part. So they fill in the shine on Macho's head with spray paint. You got the
oh, my God. That's mean.
You got the corner cam, and all of a sudden, out of the left side of the shot, Giant comes in and he goes, snap into it. And he takes a bite of a Slim Jim. I fucking lost it. I'm like, at least you did something. At least you redeemed yourself.
If you're taking over the episode, you guys did a great job with this one because it was a lot of comedy.
And it seemed like disjointed. It didn't seem like they had it planned. It looked like they were just all over the place. Outsiders run to commentary, and they basically just kidnap Bischoff. And then we get our new member. Vincent shows up. The assistant to the head of security.
And then they kind of mention they are as big as any team there is or any sport or even in NASCAR. And out comes an NWO NASCAR. Wow. Great segue, boys.
Yeah. They were more
now, I don't understand the rest of the night. I have everything crossed out because nothing goes to plan anymore.
I'll do my best here. Next we get, so yeah, you wonder where things are going to go. Jim Powers versus VK Wall Street. Giant's the ring announcer. Does about as well as you think he would.
Just about as well.
Outsiders go to the ring and they attack Powers. VK just gets out of the ring and walks to the back. Good guy ref, I never remember his name. We talk about Nick Powers being the heel, and then Anderson. He takes off his tie. He's like, I'm going to have no part in this, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if it was a good thing. Nick Patrick comes to the ring, and now Powers is just going to take on the Giant. The Giant goes for a choke slam. You know how he does like the forceful hand to the throat? He did it, and Powers just took a bump. Like, Powers was just supposed to stand there, and he puts his hand to the throat, and he just falls back. Giant's like, what the fuck? Now I got to pick you up and do this again.
Chop to the throat, kind of.
Not really. Hogan's in the back of the locker room. He's tagging the walls. Runs into the Nasty Boys, gives them a little rah-rah speech, and says, hey, man, we got to do business. Here's the key to my suite. He's like, let's go up there. And the Nasty Boys go up, so there's that. Next.
I'm talking about something I didn't remember.
Yeah, I know, right? Me neither. The next match was fucking hilarious. Jim Duggan versus Ron Studd. Ron Studd doesn't even get to the ring. Hogan's like, hey, listen, man, this is our guy right here, so we want to talk to him. And then they just beat the shit out of Studd. And it's going to be 6 versus Duggan. Patrick's the ref again, obviously, because it's an NWO show. Duggan no-sells everything, basically has the match in hand until Giant chokeslams him on the outside of the ring, and 6 gets the pin. Pretty fucking hilarious. That tells you what they think about 6 at this point. Next, we have Bo Ledoux versus NWO Sting. Patrick's the ref again, and Stang wins.
No. Stang
wins.
You said NWO Sting.
They put it up on the Chiron, so I just wanted to use it because it's the first time we've heard that used, so I wanted to go.
Fair enough.
Next was High Voltage versus the Amazing French Canadians. Holy shit, I just watched the Kid Dynamite episode of Dark Side. Oish.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Outsiders are on commentary as the Amazing French Canadians are coming to the ring, and they just keep going, oh, they're a good tag team, eh?
Hey.
Oh, well, how about that, eh?
What did he say, eh? So the Outsiders take the place of the Canadians. Hogan's on commentary saying he wants that Punk Tyson in the ring, which is hilarious given how things unfold from here on out.
In 2 years, especially for Tyson going to WrestleMania.
Yep.
Wow.
Year and a half, about.
Well, what's kind of crazy, though, is, at this time, let's see, 96. Oh, man, I think Tyson's just getting out of jail, isn't he?
Probably. I don't know. I got no frame of reference for that. DiBiase's on the mic saying they want all the belts. And if for nothing else, this is why Nitro blew away WWF. At the end, they're still holding Bischoff hostage up at commentary. Everybody joins. They've all got the headsets on. Bischoff just wants to get out of there. Scott Hall turns to the Giant and goes, "Hey, yo, is Giant really your dad? Or is Andre the Giant really your dad?" And the Giant looks at him like, "Why the fuck would you ask me that, bro?" It was it was both parts too. It takes two to tango, and they both play their part. Because out of nowhere, Scott, because everybody's talking. You don't know who the fuck to listen to. And all of a sudden, dead silence, Scott Hall, "Hey, is Andre really your dad, man?" It was fucking
This
phenomenal.
year is probably my favorite year of Razor Scott Hall of all time. He's hysterical. Oh, so scared. All the way to, is Andre the Giant really your dad?
Oh God, I couldn't stop laughing.
But yeah, that is the cap off of our Monday Night Wars for this week. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you've been waiting for it. I've been waiting for it. This week's
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for
Best there is, the best there was, and the best that there ever will be. Hold 2, arm bar.
Sodas rule. Yeah, they do.
Hold 3, the moss-covered, 3-handle family gradunzel.
It's me, Austin! Just when they think they got the answers, I change the questions.
I did it for The Rock.
this week's top topic.
You know something mean, Gene? John Cena! Wrestling's not fake!
The Rolex wearing one. Diamond ring wearing one. Kid stealing. Woo! Wheeling dealing. One. Limousine right. One. Jet flying. One. Son of a gun. Woo!
Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield.
If you smell.
The following ranking order and final decisions are a completely bias-based order, based off The Professor and O.D.M. made it. And as always, they like to let you know they have not worked in the business, but have been lifelong invested fans, much like you, our listeners. With not only their opinions involved, but with countless amount of hours of research done each week, they make sure to provide proper facts and history to back it up. However, they do know that your opinion may vary from theirs. If there is anything you want to chat about, bring to their attention. If there is something they missed or forgot, or you just want to let them know they are out of their freaking minds, feel free to shoot them a message on Facebook or Twitter, or email them at thetopofwrestling@gmail.com. As always, they do appreciate all feedback and continued support. At the end of the day, they want to make sure that you do see the best of the best before you die. And now, this week's top topic.
You know, my old pappy used to say there is nothing better than championship titles.
I never said that.
Well, you always said so much different stuff. Oh, I love that. They have the cigars at the end, and then only for Jodie Foster to come back and fuck them all.
The resemblance is uncanny. From the looks of the thing, I'll ask the lady to bring more hot water.
You both kiss the same, and you both sing the same wrong words to Amazing Grace. Do not.
Do not. It's not that much of a quotable movie, but it's such a good movie.
I love it, man. Here's one for you. In the movie Body Slam, when they end up facing two local guys, one is the real skinny guy and one's the real big guy.
Yeah.
The promoter is the one that cries at the table when he loses, and he's like,
"Oh, really?"
That's him. Yeah. Just, little something. It's funny that one guy, I was like, when I was looking up all the quotes, I go, I guess that really was it. I'm like, I thought it was like offensive, but no, his name was the Spaniard. That's what they called the one guy, the Spaniard. That was just his name. I was looking, I'm like, no name at all. I'm like, I don't want to be like, yeah, okay. So
Alfred Molina.
Good movie.
Yeah. It was really good.
Yeah. And I do like the part with the Indian. He used the, what do you call it? The bullshit bow and arrow, and it hurts his hand.
Hello, noble savage.
Make lots of noise.
I wake up this morning, I kill everything.
I love when he goes, yeah, you're right. He goes, hello, noble white man. He goes, asshole.
Next time you people come on drive us off our land, I'm going to find a nice piece of swamp. So god awful. Maybe then you'll leave us the hell alone.
I got to be honest, any movie I've ever seen him in after any TV show, I'm still like, it's the guy from that movie. It's him every time. I can only see him being that part there, especially I got him up to $5,000. Man, he would have went for 10, even though he went for the 10. He goes, no, that would have been pushing it.
Make lots of noise. Make lots of noise. Wave your arms a lot.
She's a pretty one. Don't worry, I won't let them touch you. And he comes back with not exactly a whole man. Yeah, the hand. All right, let's talk about it, man. What my pappy talked about, which was championship titles. That's right. It's the best of titles, straps, and belts. Notice the wording in it, because you can only win the WWE Championship. It's not a title. It's not a belt, because a belt holds your pants up, and straps are something that people use in bedrooms. Well, I'm sorry, what are you using for? Oh, you can strap something down in your car, too. That, too. Or something to a bet. Here we go, man. Let's start talking. We decided that we had to figure out, all right, well, what's our criteria? What are we going to talk about when it comes to this? So we made 20 different topics within this top topic, if you will. But we're not going to really spend more than probably a minute on each one, I'm sure. But just kind of the best ofs in each department, because there's a lot of different areas when you talk titles. Because, I mean, you have everything from, of course, your WWF title, WWE title, but you have many other promotions, so there's other prestigious titles that people hold more accountable than they do a WWF title. And you know what? Hey, man, let's start with that. Let's talk about it. Most prestigious single title of all time. I want to hear what you have to say first, O.D.M. I have a feeling we're on the same page.
Yeah, so there's going to be duplicates. Like I have, I didn't try to make a unique answer for each category. So there's going to be
Agreed. If it just happened to be the answer, it just happened to be that answer. Yep, same here.
But this one, I'm interested to see if you're going to agree with me on this one. It's the original NWA title.
100%. That's what I went with.
Yep.
And you want to know what? I'm going to follow right along, to be honest with you. The most prestigious tags that was next, I gave that to NWA as well. I gave both categories to them.
Yeah, I thought about it. I went with classic WWF on this one. There was a time where they were big in the tag teams, and you had some big names winning those titles along the way. The Hart Foundation, the Road Warriors. There is Demolition, regardless of what you want to say about their longevity or whatnot. They were a huge tag team. It was a prestigious title at one point. But
Hardy's,
I think
Christian. No, you're right. I'll give it to you.
I think your answer of NWA. I was almost going to go with that. I didn't want to do both, so I decided to go with the classic WWF.
I just look back at some of the matches, some of the feuds, and everything with Road Warriors, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, all those guys. So that's kind of what I was putting in there. But hey, that's why we do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Best. Some of these are kind of funny categories when you really think about it, and it's like,
no,
really,
but I mean, I think it makes sense. It made me think about it. Me,
good. Best looking singles title. I'll tell you. I'll go first on this one. I went with the WWF Winged title, the Wing Eagle title.
Yep. I think that's a good answer. I mean, that's definitely, iconic from our childhood. That was the belt, pretty much. Well, maybe not the belt, but it was certainly one of the top two.
I just how it looked on everybody, man. Macho was the first to wear it.
Yep. And it being circular in the middle really helped. The circle design really worked well. I went with the classic IWGP Heavyweight Championship title. I fucking love that title. It's so simplistic with the carvings.
Now we are talking about prior to their new Divas title change.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yes, I agree. It's a good-looking title. I had to think about it for a second, like the exact look of it, and yeah, totally. Because one of my favorite things that they do, especially because of the depth on that belt, like when they show you it, you see the nameplates are really risen, and you know what I mean. Like
it's very
exactly. Plus, it has the prestige of past champions on there. It's something really cool.
Well, and I love that.
Yeah, I'm cool.
I love that when they have a championship match, typically on a big event, they'll go through the history and show you all the previous champions, which is fucking pretty badass.
Right before the match, always cool. Yep. I mean, that's one of my favorite things. If I'm going to watch the Omega Okada 2 out of 3 falls match, you get to see the whole list of all the champions prior to it. It's just, even you see AJ Styles, Brock Lesnar, everybody in there. Best looking tag team title. I went with what your first answer was. I went with the classic 1987 to 1998 titles, where they're big around the waist there for WWF. That title is always my favorite looking tag title. It was just one of my favorites of all time.
Well,
and because all my favorites wore it, especially Bret Hart, Rockers for half a minute, Demolition. But I see guys like Natural Disasters who were wearing it. Money Inc.
Edge and Christian
Steiner
even
Brothers
had it.
had it
Edge
at
and
one
Christian
point.
even wore 'em,
Yes, totally. Yep. Yeah. Oh, APA had them originally at 1.2. So to me, that's the original. So I like that tag title more than anything when it comes to the best looking ones. I don't think there's ever been a set of tag titles since. Let me take that back. Raw. When they split up Raw and SmackDown's tag titles, when they got rid of these exact titles that I'm talking about right now, and they had a Raw version and then a SmackDown version of tag titles. Well, actually, one was just World Tag Team Champions, and the other one was WWE Tag Team Champions. But the Raw World ones, they're more bronzy looking with a little bit of red. I liked them, but nothing compares to the original tag that I'm talking about, the 87 to 98. And that's not the original. I take that back. But what's your favorite looking
well,
tag?
We're 50-50 because I'm in agreement with you. I told you I was going to have repeats, and this is one of them. They're the best looking, hands down.
Yeah. Good. It's just, I like the size were so cool.
Yeah.
We should get a set of those.
Yeah, there you go. You like that, boy.
Yeah. Ooh. We'll get the fake ones. Most popular singles of all time. Not by us. I'm thinking this is our own personal guess, but if you had to take a guess as to what you think the most popular single and most popular tags are of all time. Popular, meaning it's the one that people would probably tune in the most to see. What do you think?
Singles, I'm going Winged Eagle. I
Okay.
think that was the one. The NWA was more prestigious, but I think that the Winged Eagle is the one. That's when you had your Hogan. That's when you had your Macho Man. That's when you had your Warrior. To me, that was just the popular one.
And I'm there with you because you already heard me say that's one of the best looking ones of all time. But I got to be honest, most popular singles, to me, I think people liked it in a popular way because it meant it's your next step, man. Intercontinental title. If you are the man as the Intercontinental Champion, you will be looked at as a WWE Champion. Minus Perfect and Piper on the Mountie, but pretty much everybody who held the title, the Intercontinental title in the 90s, became a world champion.
Yeah.
Hart, Warrior, Michaels, not Razor.
Austin.
But you also had Austin, The Rock, Triple H. I mean, all these people, not everybody. I'll give you a take, not everybody, because you have your Shamrock and your own heart.
Sure.
Never mind. I spoke maybe too quick on that wording of that. But to me, I think it was a very popular one. It always had really exciting title matches, as opposed to sometimes you knew the outcome of the world title match, especially when it was the wing title. You're like, Hogan's going to retain. Earthquake's not taking the title, or whatever the case is. But yeah, that's my popular, or what I think is the most popular singles. What do you think is the most popular tags?
This is where I think I'm going to throw you a curveball. But hear me out. It's the NXT Tag Championships. Maybe not so much anymore. And that's just been recently on the downslide.
For a good minute, it was.
I mean, look at all the tag champions you had, from AOP to the Undisputed Era to DIY to the Revival. I mean, there is no shortage of bangers of tag team matches.
And I was just going to say, you guaranteed yourself to look forward to, if nothing else, at the entire TakeOver pay-per-view, that the tag team title match, no matter what, was going to deliver every time.
Oh, yeah.
So I could see the popularness of that. Ooh, I like that a lot. Mine were the same titles I talked about earlier, the 87 to 98 WWF tags. I think that version was pretty popular because of all the guys that held it that we've already previously talked about.
Yep, big names.
So now we take a little bit of a turn and talk about a couple of different things here. Let's first talk about in the indie circuit. And we know what's considered indie. Basically, anybody that's not WWE, WCW, or old school ECW, or even now AEW. So anything other than that, I think, is pretty much an indie promotion. Both of mine, honestly, do come from the same exact place.
All right, well, so do mine. So you just want to do 3, 2, 1 and say it?
3, 2, 1.
Ring of Honor.
Oh, yeah. So I guess we don't have to explain it to each other since we know. Nah, man, to me.
I mean, let's be honest. Of all the indie promotions, it's the one. It's the one where real wrestling and real old school stuff matters. I mean, you got to remember Cornette played a part in this. The only reason it went south is because he was getting tired of the business as it existed, and the TV deal with Sinclair was just an absolute clusterfuck. But really, Ring of Honor, I mean, look at we've discussed the names before. We don't need to do it anymore. Yeah. The tag titles matter. The Briscoes.
Oh yeah, the first name it was going to come right out of my mind, out of my mouth.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, it's. You can't beat these titles. I mean, fuck it. I mean, yeah, you can say, they put it on PCO. Well, it's our favorites, and these are the ones I think that hold more weight. I'm more interested in the Ring of Honor World Champion than I am the Impact World Champion, to be quite honest with you.
I 100% agree with that. And it's Christian, and I still don't even give a shit.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, yeah, we both agree with both single and tag. That's awesome. So, best singles title out there today, and then of course, same thing for best tag team titles going today. And my answer is the same for both categories. Yeah. I'm kind of curious. You want me to go first? Okay, man.
Yeah.
I think the best singles title that's out there today. It's the most interesting. It's the most, probably the more talked about title in the last 2 years. It's the AEW World Championship.
Same.
I would love to say, would have loved to have said IWGP, but the last couple of years it's kind of gotten meh. And I think they're testing out some things. It's not bad, but nothing that's eye-catching as your Okadas and everybody else that have had it. And to be honest with you, I think that the AEW tag team titles, they don't just get thrown around tag to tag to tag. I mean, it's been pretty, they hold prestige to those tag titles. Kind of like Tony Khan said, even with his mid-card title. He doesn't see TNT being a mid-card title. He thinks it's its own entity. But if you look who's holding it, it's not no-one names. I mean, it's people who are dominating. People like Miro, you know what I mean? And Cody, or even Brody Lee when he had it. So I think AEW is putting the right effort into making their titles seem important. That's why the world title and the tag titles to me are the most, the best ones going today. But let me hear what you have for your tags.
Yeah, so again, I agree with you on the AEW world. 2 years, we're on our third champ.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I'm okay with that.
100%.
Tags, the only reason I did not pick AEW was they opened it up with SCU as the first holders, and the Bucks just buried the FTR.
Yeah, well, you're right.
And it really soured me on it. So I'm going with the most popular again. I'm going NXT. Again, I know that lately it's been on the downslide, And I don't even fucking know who it is that has it. They changed their name when they went there. I don't even fucking know. The Acclaim 2.0 or whatever the fuck their name is. But, I mean, ultimately, I think that it may be changing. It may be in a month or two. I'll retract that
Well, I was going to say,
statement
they
and I'll pick
haven't...
something else. You know?
They haven't given you any reason to believe so far that a tag team title match will be bad. They haven't, you know what I mean? Because we haven't seen anything out of the new 2.0 version of NXT. So you're right. Maybe you can't discount it just yet because they may still provide really good tag title matches, and it's the one to look forward to. Now, most meaningful today. I said, what's the best singles title going today? I feel like it's the most talked about. That's AEW. But I think the most meaningful title still is the IWGP World title. I think that's your most meaningful world title that's out there today. Your thoughts on that one? What do you think is the most meaningful title today in the singles competition?
I go back to my initial answer for the first one. It's the classic NWA, the original. And one of the reasons I say that...
Even today, you're thinking that the one that Trevor Murdoch is holding right now is the most...
No, the original. I'm sorry.
No, that's what I'm saying. What's the most meaningful going today?
Oh, that's not what it said in my notes when I was given the list. It just says most meaningful. So I
updated the notes before the call. My bad.
Motherfucker.
It's most meaningful single today and most meaningful tag today. Meaning, like, if you win it, you've made it. If you're gonna do
Jesus Christ, well then it's got to be AEW.
For which one? Both.
Yeah.
Okay. I gave AEW the tag one as well.
Yeah, I mean, part of me would like to say the IWGP, but again, which is what they've been doing with it lately, and we're taking history out of it. So right now, I'm more interested in the AEW champion than I am the IWGP
and MNOP
world champ. Yeah, LMNOP.
All right,
hip hop.
Best mid-card title of all time. I don't think we're gonna disagree on this one.
No, I don't. I have a funny feeling I know what you're going to say, but then again, you might not say it because you may not look at it as a mid-card title. You want me to go first?
Sure.
I maybe I'm a mark. I don't know, man, but I'm going to say the NWA/WCW TV title.
Ooh. Wow. I didn't even think about the TV title, man. I had U.S. title in my head. I even had actually ECW's TV title come into my head because I was thinking of all different promotions. I had TNT title come in my head, and I did not think about the television title. That's a really good one. I, of course, am going to be my mark, as always, and I'm going to go ahead. Man, it's the Intercontinental title. That's the workhorse title, and it's my favorite of all time. I still try to have hopes for it, but then I saw Shinsuke wearing it in the commercial of the Bills game and said I didn't give a shit. So there's that, too. Best underdog title of all time. Do you have an idea?
Oh, sorry. You must have cut out. I didn't know if you were handing that over to me. Sorry.
Well, I did, kind of. I was asking, what do you think it is?
So, so this is where I kind of put my own 2 cents on how the question was being posed.
Fair enough.
All right. So when I give you this answer, understand that this is my qualifier. Okay. The underdog title. The way that I am processing that is, we're going to put a title on you, but that don't mean shit. You basically are just wearing a belt on TV. Doesn't mean you're going to be a main eventer. It doesn't mean you're going to go anywhere no matter how over you are.
Okay.
Based on that qualifier, I say it's the WWE US title.
Does that exist still?
Oh,
yeah, Damian Priest. Never mind. Yeah. Jesus. Okay. Yes. I like how you took that, and now I'm going to explain which my version was, which is cool. I think we could look at it either way when it comes to the underdog. I meant, what is a title that it's like the underdog in the race? Like it's the one you want to root for to be a good title, but it doesn't always deliver. But which is great. Kind of works out to what you said, where it's like, we're putting this on you. You're not doing anything else other than this. Which is great that it kind of worked out to the same. Mine's the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. It has so much like opportunities with it, right? And it's an underdog, and it can be great. Doesn't always deliver. And most of the time, the people who are the champions, it's probably the highest rank they're going to go, which is funny, like we're seeing right now, like you're saying with the U.S. title. That's wow. So we both took it into different interpretations, but it still circled back together. And speaking of, a title that would have potential but failed, we have the underdog title. I think that is the one that, it has potential. It could be there. But what do you think is the title that has had time and it had a lot of potential, but it just never got off the ground and no one cared about it?
I'm going to go with the NXT North American Championship. It looked promising. It was cool to have a mid-card title for the NXT. You could argue maybe they didn't need one. Maybe that's why it didn't work. But some big names held that title, and it got to the point where it didn't matter anymore. Never really took off, and now, I don't even know who the North American champ is these days. So
that's a great question. You're right. It started with. You're right. It started with Adam Cole, Ricochet, Velveteen Dream, Johnny Gargano, but then now I don't know. Ever since Bronson Reed got fired after having it for a minute, I don't even know who the champion is anymore.
Yeah, same. They might have just quietly retired it, and we don't even know.
It's probably Dexter Lumis. He probably won it by marrying her in that segment that NWA loved so much.
It was a wedding gift.
Yes. Okay, my potential, but failed, may surprise you. It's the NXT title. To me, if you're going to be the world champion right there, that should elevate you to being something big on the main roster. It almost means nowadays if you were the NXT World Champion, you're like, no, we're going to be saying goodbye to you soon. And that means you're going to go up and be in a shit area. Let's just look at Rude, Joe, Nakamura, anybody else that's gone up there that you've heard us talk about over and over. To me, that had potential but failed. I think that the title system failed itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. Especially where it's headed now, it seems like. So, it's hard to disagree with that. I think it had more value than the North American. That would be my 2 cents on that.
Okay, fair enough. Worst title ever. Meaning it was an abomination. It should never have happened.
24/7. Can we move on?
Ooh, that was a good one. That's a good one. Mine is actually the ECW WWE title.
Oh, yeah.
Their version of it, they thought they could recreate an entire brand, and it went about as well as their ECW, WCW Invasion angle, where they had all the amazing WCW top stars like Shane Helms and Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Hare. The big WCW names that you tuned in every week to watch. Anyway, man, what's the worst title design of all time? I think I know what your answer is. I know what my answer is. I'm going to go ahead and tell you my answer right now. Divas.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
What's yours?
Yeah. Mine's a tie, actually. It's the unified IWGP, so the Divas, or the AEW women's title.
You mean the thing that I wear a belt buckle and it's bigger than their title? All right. A couple of more questions when it comes to this debate. First question I want to ask you is in the tag team title scenario. The Freebird rule, which we've seen is where more than two guys are able to defend it. We've seen it happen with Demolition at one point. We saw it with the New Day. We've seen it a couple of times with the Undisputed Era. What are your thoughts on Freebird rule? Should it be both guys, or is it okay to substitute?
I'm all down for it, especially because it's based on the Fabulous Freebirds, who I was a fan of when I was younger. When it's done properly, it's not a bad thing. Ultimately, I don't think we saw too much of the NWO defending the tag titles with like 20 different people. So I don't have a problem with it. It's typically better. It works better when you limit it to a group of three, like the New Day, or even maybe like, let's say, the Four Horsemen. but even they didn't rock that out too much. So I think with a 3-person stable, it's a good one. So I'm going to give that a yay.
Okay, fair enough. I'm kind of a negative to it, but that's just because I'm like, well, you never won it. Why are you in there? But sometimes injuries happen, which is why we got it with Adam Cole pulling double duty for several months with Undisputed Era. But that just meant WWE or NXT was not ready to promote anybody else to be tag team champions at that point. So I guess we're going to have to make a Freebird rule. I'm okay with it. I'm not totally against it, but I'm not all for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And one other question that's like a yay or nay, the trios titles. You see them in New Japan, you see it in Ring of Honor. People are trying to push for it in AEW, which I hope personally it doesn't happen, but
it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Oh, God. I'm going to say no. I don't like them. I think it's stupid. I've just never cared for them, but because you could just put anybody together, and it's just a title match just to have a title match at that point, and there's no prestige to it. But what are your thoughts?
You wrote, are trios titles worth a damn? My answer, no!
It's true, I did write it that way. I should have worded it that way. Well, before we hit off our final question, when it comes to these belts, titles, and straps, let's hear from Nightwing. He was away for a little bit, and we threw another one at him where he could chime in on this week's top topic about his thoughts on championship belts.
Hey everybody, this is Nightwing. Y'all are not going to have a title talk and not have me be a part of it. So I'm not going to talk about a lot of stuff here, but I'm going to give you my thoughts on a couple different categories that I have that made belts mean something to me. And, well, maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. I don't care. Anyway, first of all, the importance of the title. Now, my first belt of importance, my number one important title, is the NWA title, purely because of the history. The NWA title is one of the longest lineages of professional wrestling titles ever. The next one was the Winged Eagle belt. Reason I love that belt so much and its importance was that was when WWF was becoming prominent, and it was still kind of in that NWA mindset of putting the title on the right guy for the right reasons, which one key being Bret Hart. The next one that's important to me was the Smoke and Skull belt. Now, the reason the Smoke and Skull belt was so important to me was because purely it was signifying that the Attitude Era was going on. Also, fans weren't really used to seeing customized titles at the time, so it really kind of stood out when that one came out. The next title I have is the WCW Big Gold Belt. Now, why is that one so important? Well, it does kind of have an NWA lineage, but that's when the Georgia Championship Wrestling turned into WCW and they lost their NWA lineage. So when they kept that belt, and the fact that that belt has had such a lineage even up until recent years, is pretty important. And the last one of my importances are the X Division title from TNA. Now, the reason that's important to me is because that was giving people the opportunity to see something that was just totally different. You saw a lot of different type of performance styles and whatnot. And I mean, what was the motto back then? It was no weight limits or whatever. That's why I like that one, just because it had that importance and significance in that time. It was something totally different. Now, my favorite belts of all time, and I'm not going to elaborate on these too much, but my favorites of all time was the original NWA up until the TNA era, the Winged Eagle, the X Division title, the WWE ECW Big Silver belt, and of course the WCW Big Gold belt. Those are my favorites of like all times, whether it's a design reason or the significance of why it was carried or who carried it. Those are just some of the things I just love about those. I just love those belts. Now, my favorite custom belts, we're going to start off straight with the Smoke and Skull, and I already said why I like that belt. The next one is the Cena U.S. title. Now, it was the first spinner, and that's why it's kind of weird and it's out there with it, but I love that as a custom belt. Now, people may not believe that my next one technically is a custom belt, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to them. The WCW Big Gold belt when the NWA took it over and spray painted it NWO. So that one may or may not be really a true custom, but it was right for the era. It was a little bit different. The next one would have to be the $1 Million belt. I've always loved the design. It almost became an infamy of not really meaning much of anything, but it was a great design overall. And the final custom belt that I just absolutely love was the Brahma Bull belt, which goes right along with the Smoking Skull, but I just love the design more than anything. And I don't know how much leather The Rock cut out of that thing for him to be able to smack that thing around and throw it like that, but that belt was significant to me. Now, one of my honorable mentions has to be the the Ring of Honor Championship belt, that heavyweight belt. I've loved their design. It looks very classy and classic, but because a lot of people have never even seen the belt before, that's why it's not on my list. But anyway, guys, have a great day. Take care.
The man loves his TNA Impact, man. NWA and TNA. I can't argue with him. There are some actually really good feuds and matches that happen for the world title and tag team titles in both for the NWA TNA era and even TNA heading into Impact. Now, oh no, nothing that is good anymore. But I totally agree with that. Which is funny, man. Looking at all of our stuff, we didn't talk about Impact or TNA at all today. I'm kind of shocked. Wow.
Right.
Good thing we asked him. Well, hey, man, the best question to ask when it really comes to talking about these championship titles, what is your personal favorite title of all time that you just think if there is one time you could be that boy and purchase one title because it was your absolute favorite? Not just on looks, but everything, the criteria we just went down today. I don't care if it's mid-card, tag, anything. What is your favorite title, strap, or belt?
Listen, I really, really, really love the way the IWGP title looks, but the reason that this title didn't make any category in this list is pretty obvious. But it's the big gold belt. Listen, I can always see Flair carrying that thing. He brought it to WWF. It became the NWO Championship. It's just a beautiful title.
And became a world championship for WWE for several years. That wasn't necessarily just thrown on anybody. I mean, you had Batista, Triple H, Taker, Kurt Angle. It was treated right. You know what I mean? For a while. I absolutely love that answer from you, man. I didn't even think about that. Wow.
And when you look at the history too, when you there's some videos out there where you can geek out and kind of see the differences. It actually changed. It actually changed when it went from when Flair brought it to WWF. The weird thing was that belt was just introduced not long after Flair left. So they had to have like another one made up that wasn't. It was completely different. It was a really generic title till it came
smaller.
Back, but yep. And then when he went back to when the companies merged, it changed again, and then it changed again after that. So if you were to buy a replica title like that boy from WWE shop, it's not going to be the original gold belt. It's going to be completely different. So, I'm guessing to get an original is going to be very expensive because you'll have to have it custom made. But yeah, it's like I said, between Flair bringing it to WWF and it becoming the NWO title, it's classic. It's iconic. We can forget about what happened in the year 2000 with that title, including David Arquette. And
that doesn't count.
I know it doesn't count. But yeah, that's my favorite, man.
Nice. Well, honestly, mine is, I already said it was one of my favorites in many ways, the Wing Title Championship. Just something about it. The look, the prestige, the people that held it. It was a classic-looking belt to me. I've always been a fan of that one. That's why it's my personal favorite overall. But that wraps up this week's top topic. We had 20 different questions breaking down all the different titles, straps, belts. Next week, we are going to hear again from Nightwing with his good shit of the week. In 2 weeks, you are going to have our next watch along, which is going to be Heroes of Wrestling 1999. That gem. Cannot wait for that. And as always, we like to talk about wrestling. We like to talk about movies. Each week, we try to throw some lines in there, see if you can figure out what it is. Next week, we'll be back with another movie. But this week, while we're taking off, O.D.M. is going to leave us all with his movie quote of the week in the form of the man who lost his ponytail on the plane ride from hell, Doc Hendricks, Michael P.S. Hayes. Hey, Freebird Rule man himself. See you guys next week.
Didn't I do PSAs already?
I don't think you did. Did you?
All right, well, fuck it. If I did, I did. Now you get it again, okay? I think I did, but we're going to go with it anyway.
No, wait. Hang on. Wait, you did. You did. Right. Stop. His movie quote of the week in the form of a wrestler. And what better person to have him do than doing his impersonation of the man who just joined the NWO last week, X-Pac, 123 Kid, 6.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Hey, side note, we fucked up and that was take 2. That's what you get for turning down the first one. You didn't turn down. I gave you the wrong one.
I'm just going to do it as Michael P.S. Hayes just to piss you off. Oh, okay. X-Pac, 6, huh? 6, huh?
Maybe you should find 2 lines that are back to back. Do one as X-Pac and the other one as P.S. Hayes, like a conversation.
Yeah, right. Let's just complicate it. Oh, dude, I don't even fucking know what I don't know how he doesn't have a unique voice. I'm just gonna say the goddamn quote. Lord, whatever I've done to piss you off, if you could just get me out of this and somehow let me know what it was, I promise to rectify the situation.
The Top of Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by The Top of Wrestling Podcast. Your hosts are the Professor, Mark Fantasia, and O.D.M, Joe Rizzo, with special weekly segments by Nightwing the Analyst, Rashawn Hilton. Without your continued support, it would just be some guys talking wrestling. Feel free to interact with the show on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and by email at thetopofwrestling@gmail.com.
You know, I wanted to use a line earlier, and there's no way I'm going to be able to use it now at all since we're doing the titles, but I wanted to be like, Ric Flair? Yeah, no, his career is deceased. Hey, do you want to say something nice about the deceased? Well, how do you know he was nice? We don't know anything about him. The only thing he's got in his wallet is a bunch of names of whorehouses. And I was like, that's Flair!